Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. My name is Aaron Richmond, and of course, this is Aaron's Opinion. We are joined today all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, by Eezo The Blind DJ. We're glad to have you. We've known of you for a while. You're a great fan of the show, man. So why didn't you walk through your whole life journey and tell us who is Eezo the Blind DJ? As I always like to say, you can talk about your life, your blindness journey, and as we always like to say, tell me everything you want me to know and don't tell me anything you don't want me to repeat. So I'm going to mute my microphone and turn it over to you. Who's Eezo the Blind DJ?
Okay, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's really great for me to be here. Okay, so my name is basically Raeez Kuhn, better known as Eezo the Blind DJ. I was born on the 13th of March, and so my story is such. So I actually lost my eyesight at the age of 2 before I turned 3, a few days after my father actually died in a car accident due to the trauma behind his accident, for the fact that obviously, someone me being that age having to see such type of things, you understand. And since then, okay, I lost my sight. I was a child, and immediately, not long after that, I started listening to music, liking radios, because obviously now that I'm blind, that is the sound is the only thing that can keep me motivated as a child. 3 4 years after my father's death, I went to a school in Pietermaritzburg called Arthur Blackster School for the Blind. That's where I basically learned how to read and write in Braille, and that's where I actually learned how to use computers. Okay, so my years at school was from 2004 to 2012. And during that time, I basically learned actually quite a lot at the school, because I also used to have a few friends from overseas. However, at the school, we were taught basic things, but a lot of us as blind people advanced ourselves by learning, by furthering our knowledge in terms of technology, especially. Okay, so me being at school, as a kid at school, I used to have music classes. We used to have music classes, and there used to be a keyboard there. And so, because of the time when I used to be at school, I only used to come home during holidays. One of the holidays that I came home, I got a piano to use, and it was a piano that my mother bought me at the time. She was still working and she was still herself, and she bought me that piano, and started learning. The first thing I learned is how to play the national anthem, and from there I started playing other different types of songs that I know, but not 100%. Okay, well, 2012. I told myself, I've been listening to music for years, listening to mixes actually on radio, and because since when I was a child, I used to always ride around with my uncle, and he used to play the music in the car, and that's what actually made me love music so much. And because I used to listen to radio a lot, I used to listen to mixes a lot, and it sounded so amazing to understand how does people mix tracks or put a different vocal with a different beat, because it used to sound so nice. And that was one of the things that motivated me to tell myself I want to become a DJ. And because of the time, during my time at school where I learned computers, what I basically did in 2012 was I did my research on how to search and how to sync using the virtual DJ on PC. And after I figured out those two shortcuts, I started using virtual DJ without accessibility at that time. And because I figured out my own way, I was fortunate enough to be able to make mixes and DJ on virtual DJ at the time. 2014, I learned to play on CDJs in 20 minutes which was actually quite nice because during my spare time in 2013, I also used to learn the functions of virtual DJ and the basics that is important when DJing. And because of this, when I learned the CDJs, I already knew quite a few things, so there was nothing that I basically had to learn at that time. Now, with CDJs, there is no text to speech. Now, what I would do to make my life easier, whenever I'm going to go to play somewhere or play at specific places, I would put my songs into folders on my sticks, so that would make it easier for me to find it. However, I can DJ from any stick, even if it's not in order. It's just that is, a much easier way to be organized as a DJ. And what I basically do is, because I use the heads in the mixer, when the one track is playing on the speaker, automatically in the mixer, when you press those two buttons, you can hear basically both songs playing on the earphones, and that is when you have to now pitch the song on the one side, because you get different types of DJing. You get pre-recorded where the tracks are already pre-recorded, so you just play them. And then you get that way you do straight mixing. So I prefer straight mixing as much as I started out as a mega mix DJ, where I used to always love DJing with vocals, instrumentals, and reprises. I think it is very important to understand all the functions on the CDJ or on the computer or on the laptop, depending on what are you using to DJ, or on the controller. So now the differences is, well, obviously on virtual DJ you can sync in on the controller, and on CDJs, as much as it is possible, it's not something that is just like that is done in majority of the time of the cases. Okay, so for me, 2014, after learning to play on CDJs, I moved to the side where I am, which is not far from my home. And, that's when I started becoming independent as a blind person. I had to always, make a plan for myself. I started learning the world outside, interacting with people. And that is where I actually, started understanding how it is outside, and you have to work in order to, become successful or to become something. You have to work. And for me at that time, my dream was still, I was standing every day in front of a gate and telling myself, one day I want to be Eezo the Blind DJ that people knows, that people can watch on their TV screen. And, my dream came true of that happening. You know, there's quite a lot of people that knows me. It's just that I'm having a bit of an issue if it comes to, getting bookings like now recently. Um, you know, during lockdown was actually a much better time for me, where I can say I had a few gigs and things quite happening, because after the lockdown it was quiet for me. And since 2014, because of my mother situation, I I was going through a lot of things, and I just kept everything for myself. As much as, yes, on social media, I used to post quite a lot, and the thing is, we are human beings, so, sometimes we mess up and we make mistakes, and, unfortunately, it was like that for me in my case. But, I kept on strong, I'm pushing and sharing my story out to the world and telling them who I am and what I do, because I want people to see us as blind people. They mustn't see us as people who are different. And, it's important to make people understand how other people live, and how to, work with other people, to interact with other people that have different types of impairments, whether it be visually impaired. And, you know, for me being a DJ, because this is what our main topic and focus is on. For me, being a DJ as a totally blind person is something, I always tell myself, maybe if I wasn't a DJ and I could see, I wasn't going to maybe be in that space, or maybe I wasn't going to be that person that loves music as much as I do. And now, have that being said, my situation and my thing is this. For us as blind people now, technology is so advanced, so integrated, and because of its accessibility, anything is possible. And a lot of us, okay, for me, let me say in my case, I always get this question, how do you chat as somebody who's blind? And when I do posts telling them my story, I will come up with people who tell me that I'm a scam and all those type of things. But eventually they start understanding, because when somebody follows your journey, they understand basically who you are and what you're trying to do and where you want to go. And so, because of me becoming a DJ and because it's something I love, I also had a lot of people recently requesting that they want to learn how to DJ. So that's one of the things I want to actually do now, is open my own DJ school, which requires funding, because I need to have equipment such as CDJs, mixers, laptops, speakers, and amps, and I need to have 2 or 3 of those equipments, like maybe example 3 pairs of CDJs, 3 pairs of mixers, because it's going to be a school. So when I'm teaching and anything gives problem, there is backup in order for the class to continue and for everything else to take place. In a world where we are, where we learn so much, with even us being blind and being able to, create our own programs, and being able to do programming accessibly, I also tell myself that one of the days I will make a software that is 100% accessible for blind people, to enable anyone who's blind to be able to teach without any complications. Because one thing we also need to understand is, there are some things that are too advanced for some people. And I think when we do things, it's always a nice thing that we cater for everyone. In the same way that, we're fighting in all of the countries for, disability rights, and for, things to be, equal for people with disabilities. That's one of the initiatives I have as well. Unfortunately, only for now, all I can say is that, now it's quiet on my end, and I'm pushing for bookings. I want to get bookings so that, I can, survive in the meantime while I'm waiting, you understand. And I'm sharing my story around so that people can basically know who I am, and what I do. And I would that's especially now, my current situation. So at the moment, I have to get funds so that I could sort out, my personal essentials, and, actually get myself a few clothes and all those type of things, because I actually have to restart, because, I actually lost everything I had, because, I was, that person, being blind, and, used to stay at a lot of different places, and, interacted with a lot of different people. And, because of my surrounding, and, or, as a person, you learn as time goes by that, if it comes to friends, you have to understand your circle, because not everyone is there to see you win. And at that time, I didn't understand, and I was always that one. I can make other people happy, and, put myself at the back, you know that's just basically me. But now, I'm focusing and I'm pushing, and what I want to do is, I want to, collaborate with people, and, interact with each and anyone, who's interested in doing, this type of thing. And for me, as somebody who's a DJ, I really love what I'm doing, and I also would love to say that the only thing now that is needed from my side is that, I'm requesting assistance, in terms of funds, in any type of way, so that I could basically, rebuild myself and get all the required things that I need. Because as I am speaking now, I am trying to post around for help so that, I could get a few personal essentials and, some items for myself. It is actually, we live in a corporate world where, we always exploring different types of things on a constant basis. Because I mean, like, for someone like me, I love technology so much, and I learned so much in terms of phones and computers, how the Android operating system and the Windows operating system was built. And, we always, like, example, the way technology is so advanced, I mean, to turn narrator on a laptop, you press three keys, and on a phone, you press two buttons. And, you know, accessibility is something we're trying to implement everywhere and add to each and every type of, topic we can. So, what I want to also say is, seeing that I'm on here, one advice I have for content creators is going to listen, or who will listen to the podcast, is that image descriptions is a very important thing, and would be nice if a lot of content creators can acknowledge that, so that it can make it easier for others to understand, what is basically in their images when they go into a post, or when they posted it, or whenever they're scrolling on the timelines, in order to get a proper description. Yes. So from my side, that's what I can say. Being here in South Africa, of course, one thing I know is that everywhere in the world it's not the same. Other places are way different compared to how it is this side. But it's nice that platforms are now so digital, that we can share things in a digital world. And, if I think about it, in the olden days, people had to walk around and sell CDs. And now, with platforms being digitalized with technology, we are able to upload and allow others to listen from wherever they are. From my side, I think for now I said what I said and what I can. Because, sometimes as a person, you'd always prepare yourself for a show. Then there is that certain thing you tell yourself that, okay, I need to speak about this, but then you just end up forgetting. But hopefully I highlighted enough information about myself. And, I'm always happy that I can be an inspiration to others, and love would really love to collaborate with other content creators, DJs, producers. But the only thing I want to do now is make sure that I can get funding just to start my school, and then I can take it from there. Because like what I've learned in life, everything comes with work. So even when opening a school, or whenever you run a business, your business needs to be registered. Your information needs to be updated. It's the same thing, like if you are a person and you're hungry, you have to eat, and then and it's the same thing. That's how it just works. Like everything has a price that it goes with. But it's actually nice, if us as artists, DJs, content creators, when if we always do things together and support each other. Because there was this one important thing I just want to speak about. And sometimes you could look at someone's profile and think, because they don't have much followers, they're not good. I think that's not always the situation. Because there are some people, they might not have much, but they are good at what they do. Because talent on its own speaks when it's happening. And we are so lucky, because if I can think and tell myself how accessible is everything now, or how accessible things are getting, as much as we still go through a lot of struggles. Example, for me as a DJ, one of my struggles that I always have issues with is transportation. And because of the fact that I also have to restart now. It is quite a bit difficult in terms of telling myself, okay, this is how I'm going to, put everything in order when it's time for me to go to a gig. But as much as it's said, I'm actually glad to say that you know things are happening for us, are really happening, and we are so privileged to be able to do quite a lot of things regardless of not having sight. And I'm going to say that sometimes I would always tell myself, it's not always about being blind as in being blind when you can't see with your eyes, but there are many different ways you can see. Like a blind person basically see using the hearing sense. But nonetheless, that's what I can say from my side, and I'm willing to collaborate with anyone. So if anyone wants to look for me or wants to collaborate with me, you can just search for me on different social media platforms. I am around on a few of them, which is in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. If you just search Eezo The Blind DJ, you will basically find my profiles. Yes. But I'm actually on my side. I think that's what I have to say from my side for now. And I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to speak, and I'm just hoping that I get enough assistance just so that I can restart. Because, like I explained in the middle of the conversation, that I currently have nothing at all, and I am looking for some type of assistance so that I could get myself a few things and everything sorted as well. Thanks.
And we here at Aaron's Opinion, we're very glad that you are joining us today. Absolutely. You did a magnificent job in sharing and conveying your life journey thus far, Eezo. Absolutely. So, we will certainly talk about and go over all of the information without any doubt. We surely will. My first question, though, can you kind of walk us through, especially for the listeners who maybe are not fully aware of South Africa, what it's like to grow up in Johannesburg and things like that. Can you kind of walk us through for a few moments what it was like growing up in Johannesburg, what you learned in schooling, when you learned Braille, and really what did you come to learn when you were going through schooling in South Africa? Your country is a deeply as other South Africans have told me, South Africa is a country that is rich with culture, history, troubled times, conflict, peace, happiness, sadness. There's a lot to unfold in South African society. And the other thing is I'm also a bilingual guy. I speak English and French. Most of my listeners from South Africa speak many languages. So I was wondering, what can you tell me about the various languages that you speak on a daily basis? And really walk us through the education system. And let's kind of start there. So what can you tell us about all those things to start off?
Okay, to start off, okay, let me start rather at the school side. So when I went to the school in 2004, it was towards the end of the year, 3 months. So in that 3 months is the time when I started learning Braille. And in that 3 months, I learned Braille completely to the end and understood that, okay, this is Braille and it's a 6 dot system. And at that time, they already had the Braille Perkins machine at the school. So that's what I did. I learned there at the school. But I used to stay at the boarding school, and that was in Pietermaritzburg in KZN, which is one of the provinces that side in South Africa. But at the school, yes, because of I was in a school with a lot of black people, so I started learning the language, the isiZulu language, and it was actually nice for me learning. I love it though, because now I can speak it kind of very well. And as much as at home I speak Afrikaans, because the area I come from, it's a colored area, and we grow up in a lot of violence and crime, because it's like we go through a lot of frustrations because of the things around us, and the unemployment rate sometimes the unemployment rate makes things, it goes the opposite way. We are in some other different type of time where, we have to always watch our back. And it's, that's just basically how it is actually in South Africa. Like, you know, everything, let me put it this way. Some people are good at things but don't have the resources. And then, you would get it in a situation where, you would get a lot of things said to you by the government that doesn't happen. Because I mean, like, for me, as example, as a totally blind DJ, I share my story everywhere and I do whatever I can do. And anything you do, a lot will have a challenge. Definitely. We are always challenged by a lot of things in life in general. So that's what I can say, because like in this type of areas where I am, and how it is here in Johannesburg, it's a very nice area. Trust me, it's beautiful, and there's a lot of things. Joburg is like where everything comes. When something comes in the country, it's always first here in Joburg, because it's the place where all the interactions takes place, where all the clubs and all those type of things are. As much as yes, around the country there is a lot of malls and clubs and all those different types of things, but it's just like there's something in Joburg. Now, in South Africa there's also people from different parts of the world. So, like for me, because of meeting different people, also I started becoming a comedian. Sometimes when I'm sitting with people, I make them laugh and things, because I have different things that I do to keep myself busy, to entertain myself. So, even now, so much people are still surprised when people comes in and they see me sit with a laptop and a phone and I'm doing everything. They still wonder, how do I do this, or what's happening? That is just basically, the type of life it is here. And for all my years, I wasn't much with my family. I'm not much with my family, and I'm used to, I'm from that way. I know what it is not to have. I know what it is, to sleep hungry and all those type of things. But I tell myself, sometimes, it's not only always about you having money to be able to do things, but, obviously without money, we can't do anything. As much as, we can create and we can do a lot of things, but there are specific things, that requires financial support. So I think, that is what I can say from my side, because I used I'm that type of person, as much as I am a lot outside, that's how I understand exactly how the life is, around me and basically the people itself. So yeah, that's what I basically can say on my side.
Really good. Excellent. Excellent. And then what about as far as you, when you were going through the school there, the school for the blind, what is their curriculum? What exactly were they teaching you at the school for the blind?
Okay, well, what we were learning there, okay, they had computer classes, but we didn't actually do much computer. So we were just learning, like we did the normal subjects at school, which was like life orientation, maths, technology, geography, and sometimes they would add the language subject that they would add also to the syllabus. But at that time, at that school, things wasn't also that advanced. I don't want to lie, like compared to how it is now. That time we
Sure.
only had the Braille Perkins. That is all that we had that time. Compared to now at the schools, they're using Braille Apex, the computers to save files, and I think that is much easier, because at the time when I was still in school, we used to use files and put our work in different files, after we typed it out on a Perkins Braille machine. So I think, at that time it wasn't so advanced as much as it is now.
Yeah, things have definitely gotten a lot more advanced. Because I'm younger than you, I'm 34. So I remember how it was even when I was a little boy in the 90s, growing up in America, completely differently to how you grew up in South Africa, obviously, but still things were very primitive in the 90s compared to how it became. I think right around the year 2004. I think you're very right. Right around the year 2004, 2005, 2006. things really started to kick off technologically, and that's when society really started to change. Right around 2005, I think, when YouTube started to get more popular and Facebook started to become a norm. I think that's when society really shifted. You know, right around those years, 2004, 5, 6. There was a lot of technological advancement in those years, for sure, for sure. Yeah, really
Yeah,
interesting.
like,
Yes,
like I don't want to lie. I have all the software and information I need. It's only the resources that I don't have that's limiting me from doing whatever
I
I
understand.
need to do. You understand?
I understand. We understand that. Yes, certainly. Yeah, yeah. Well, really good. Really good. All of this is really interesting. Okay. So, Eezo, what happened though, like after you graduated from the school for the blind and things like that? Then, you know, what happened after you graduated from your school for the blind? Like, what is the system there in South Africa? How do things work after you graduate from schooling? Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So at the school, I was in grade 9, and there was things that started happening at the school. So I dropped out, and because of that, I came home, went to a college in 2013, Action for the Blind, and that's where I learned computers. But because I used to learn computers a lot in my spare time, I already knew most of the things there. But I said, let me attend so that I'm able to get the certificate from Microsoft itself. And so I attended that college, and 2014 is when I moved to the side here where I am, which is not much far from home. It's where I really started, interacting with people now, the outside world. Because you remember before that, I was at school, I used to be inside, I never, understood how it was in the outside world. But then from 2014 going up, that's when I had to start understanding how it is. I traveled to different places in South Africa. Yeah, and that's the thing, because like 2015 I played on a radio station in my area, Coffee FM. 2016 I won Battle of the DJs here in El Dorado Park. In 2019, I played in Pretoria and other different places, you understand.
Certainly, certainly, all very,
Yeah.
very good. Yes, yes, we certainly understand. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, all right. So, can you walk through for those who are in the audience but maybe are less familiar, Eezo? Can you tell us more about like the art of being a DJ? Like for those who don't know and are maybe unfamiliar, what is DJing? You know, what's the history behind it? How does it work? Really work through the mechanics of it all. Yes.
Let me be honest, it's not even something that takes time to explain. The first important thing when, as a DJ, the first important thing is timing. Without timing, I can't say I'm a DJ. Because, when mixing beats, you need to mix them with time. You can't just mix a beat anyway. Like example, if a beat is playing in the middle and the chorus is playing in the middle of the song, you can't bring the other song in, because then there's no timing. Everything works with timing. Timing is the first important thing. Secondly, BPM, beat matching, is very important. You need to make sure when you DJing and your beats are together. The beat matching is together. And I would advise, don't sync too much. Don't use sync features too much, because it ends up making you, become lazy. When you are given another opportunity on specific CDJs, it becomes very difficult for you, because some CDJs are very, very, very difficult to use if you're not familiar with, DJing using the pitch slider. And I think, that's another important thing as well. There's so much people that are DJs, and there are so much people that wants to become DJs, but they don't know where to start, and they don't have the resources. Now, what I can do is, on my side, I'm available to anyone that wants to reach out to me, wants to learn to DJ and what it means to be a DJ and what all is required.
Really good. That's all excellent. Yeah, you're really fascinating. Yeah. So you said that you can definitely sing, right? Because today I would definitely like for the audience to hear some of your musical ability. So maybe in a few minutes, if you want, maybe you can sing for us or present some of your, maybe you can present a song for us because I think people would really like to be able to hear you today on the podcast singing a beautiful song. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Have you, so are you familiar with Zollyhood Radio, by the way?
Yes, I am.
That's very good. Yeah, they do
I am
great work.
familiar with radio.
Yeah, they're great. They're great, great, great. Yeah.
Ye-
Do you have a show with Zollyhood? Do you have a show with them?
Not, I don't have a show with them, but I was supposed to be on the show at that time. But, because of my situations that I went through, like I explained,
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of things that was canceled that I couldn't attend, because of, my situation, you understand my financial situation. So, now and then I wouldn't have data. And, you know, also I was in a situation where, sometimes us people, we can do things, that, we end up, realizing that it's wrong, you understand, but it's already done, and you just tell yourself, you want to make a change because, life is not getting easier. Everything is getting more expensive, especially if you are somebody who's blind. Let me put it for you, anything inaccessible comes with a cost.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot of work. You need to know a lot of things
Oh,
because
sure.
even if you're a developer and you create something accessible, it takes time for you to draft it out in order for that, so that when you're doing the coding on the app, there are specific things that you need to put in order so that the accessibility function works. So yeah, that's what I can definitely say on my side. But another thing I wanted to say regarding, yes, I can sing, but the only thing is, it's just like, actually, like, for now, I didn't yet do anything related to singing exactly, like, meaning I didn't yet make my own specific song in singing. But what I would focus quite a lot more on is actually, beats. But I definitely, yes, I can sing. But sometimes, singing it's also depends, like, are you something you need to be ready for. It also actually takes, a lot of, how could I say, yeah, it takes a lot of, practice. Like they say, practice makes perfect. So, specific things you have to practice, and it makes you become more good in that field.
Yeah, you're very right. You're absolutely right. That's totally fine. Even still today, if you could maybe show us a beat or show us one of your songs that you're able to sing, perhaps maybe the anthem, the national anthem. It's very beautiful. But anyway, that's all fine, and you're very right. Everything, everything takes practice in the content creation space. That's always been the case. Nothing is easy these days. You're very right about that. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
What I think
other?
we can do is, because for now, the laptop I was using, 3 days ago, it actually gave in, and because it was already broken, it's a very, very old laptop. I don't know. I'm like, now I'm unable to do anything. I'm
Okay,
basically like, I'm basically stuck because of that situation. But
that's all right.
hopefully
I
I'll be
understand.
up and running again anytime soon. You understand?
Sure, absolutely. Really, really interesting. All right. Well, very good, Eezo. Well, yeah. Have you spoken to other DJs, by the way, around the world and around South Africa? How much of a connection do you have with the DJ community and things like that? Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I have some people I had connections with that I don't have understanding with anymore. Because of situations where I messed up. But then I got others. Like, there's a lot of big people that watches me, but they don't talk, they don't comment, they don't react, but they watch. And you know my wish is just that I want to interact with a lot of with a lot of big artists, not only because of rushing, maybe for fame and stuff, because I want to raise awareness so that people can, basically understand we can be in whichever situation we are, but we can still, do what we want to do. We are not limited because, because it doesn't mean if you can't see, you can't DJ. Because, if you are blind, your hearing is very, very good. The only thing is that everyone has their own way and timing whenever they learn how to process something.
You're very right. You're very, very right about that. Yes. Yeah. Good. Good. That is all very, very, very accurate. Yeah. And everything takes practice, right? From building rapport with people. I found that one of the most subtle things for me to learn is rapport and what that means. And it's very subtle, but it's very important. And when you have a good relationship with somebody, when you have rapport with somebody, it's very noticeable. And when you do not have rapport with somebody else, it's very noticeable. So that's a very subtle thing. So, yeah, when you go on Instagram, Eezo, and when you go on TikTok, like what content do you post on Instagram and TikTok when you do?
Okay, so what I post mostly on my
Hmm.
social platforms is one, the first thing I post a lot is how I became a DJ. I'll always post that. Second, I would always I post my videos whenever if I do get videos that was recorded or if I went to a gig and those videos are given to me, that's the second thing I post. Those are the two things I post mostly on my social platforms because it's what I want people to see and to understand, because sometimes, people wants to see. If you say you're a DJ, they must say, okay, oh yes, content. That even though maybe like now, maybe I don't have gigs like I used to, but I have content that I can show. And, I get people that interviews me. Yes, and those type of things. It must just doesn't happen on a constant basis. But so those type of things, because of the fact that and how it happens is because I always share my story around on social media in different groups.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think anytime you're gigging, anytime you have a DJ opportunity, right? I think you should always either have a camera or some way of recording it so that you can then go home the next day and post the video of the gig and post the experience for sure. And that would be a huge thing, simply tagging the right people with the right experience. I mean, that's everything, tagging, let's say you're at a particular, hotel or event, tag the hotel, on Instagram or TikTok, tag their pages, and
Yeah.
then the followers would be able,
Yes.
over time, what seems to be happening more is that people are gravitating towards quality content more, right? So if you
Yes.
perform well, if you show people, if you prove to people that you're able to do it, then they'll believe you. But you have to prove it first. That's kind of the rule. They would say, well,
Yes.
he says he's Eezo the Blind DJ, so fine, but you have to show them. You have to prove it. And this is something that people have to learn. Even in America, people have to learn this. You can't just say it, you have to do it. As we say, it's not about talking the
Yes.
talk, it's about walking the walk, and that's the
Yes.
most
Yes.
important thing. Quite frankly, I have met, even in American society, Eezo, I've met many people who are just talkers. Talk, 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 talk. But if you ever told that person, well, let's go on a walk together, let's prove it. No, no, I can't actually do that, and you would be very surprised to know that this is a recurring theme in life is that a lot of people are not up to the challenge. A lot of people are just not up for walking the walk. And this is a huge problem. It truly is. Yeah. Um, but you obviously are up for it and things like that. So I think this is really good. Yeah. I mean, in the States, it's obviously easier than South Africa, but this is life. Life's not fair. It's obviously easier in America, but I think though the DJ scene, from what I know of it, is it would still be very competitive, because everybody wants to be chosen. When you start out, it's easy because you can DJ at small events, but then if you want to move up and get bigger paying gigs at more prestigious
Wow.
clubs or more prestigious
That's
events, then you need more of a backing to begin with, and things like that. So that's where it starts to get really difficult, is to actually, well, how do you actually get these gigs? Work hard. That's the only answer. Keep doing it. And when you do it, show people that you love doing it. Hey, if some guy, kid comes up to you and says, hey, Mr. Eezo, what's that equipment you're working with? Show them your equipment. Show them that you take passion and pride for the hobby. Show them that you're interested in what you're doing. That's a huge, huge thing. And then people will be able to see, oh, Eezo's really good at what he does. He's really nice about it. And he showed me more about the hobby that other people can use in their, in their own life. So I think that really says a lot. I think that really says everything about, about what's going on in this hobby. Yeah. How many different, are you in a lot of DJ Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups? I mean, having nothing to do with my groups, are you in groups for DJs all over the world on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm only actually quite in a few groups when it comes to DJing and stuff, because I'm more into groups where there's, apps and computer stuff, because those are also actually the things that makes you be able to DJ.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true.
Understand. Yes. But I have half my followers is let me say upcoming DJs, and not meaning it in a bad way, but they're inspired, and it enables them to also push, and that's the nice thing for me.
That's great. Absolutely. Yeah. If you inspire others, if you motivate people, that's another thing that people notice. If you're working, as I say, and when I say it, I mean it because it's true. The greatest compliment that I could receive is knowing that Eezo the Blind DJ has more followers than Aaron's Opinion. That's the greatest thing I can do to make sure that you do better than me, right? Because there are numbers. You can see how many followers I have. I can see how many you have. But numbers are just numbers. The other subtle thing about living is that those are just numbers. Those are just numbers. Those are just records. The point of followers is to help somebody else overachieve you. The point of a record in sports, surely you follow, football or rugby. The point of records in sports, it's not to be boasted or bragged about. The point is to defeat it, to beat the next goal in life. That's really the point. So the greatest compliment to me is me knowing that I was able to get you more followers and did the right thing. And then both of us benefit because we did the right thing. So that's really how it works, for sure. And if people do not understand this, if people do not understand that subtlety, that philosophical subtlety, then those are people who you do not want to listen to. That's the trick. Those are people who don't belong in your audience, But yes, you were going to say something? Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, but that is why, I tell myself every day one thing, that sometimes, we get distracted by things, and that also holds us back as human beings, unfortunately, and a lot of us would be in denial, but it's facts. And, I think I've been caught up too much in that, there were times when I plan something, and then if the time comes, it doesn't happen, because now it's either I'm struggling to get the funds, or and that's something I always say on a constant basis. But otherwise, on my side, I think for now, I think I'm fine. I have nothing else that I can say on my side. That's what I can say from all my experiences, and who I am, what I actually learned, you understand, and what I actually focus more on.
You know what? I agree with you. You've said what you needed to say. I agree. And I appreciate the fact that you realize that sometimes in life you've said your piece, as we say in English. You've told the story. It's a true one, and you've told it. Really good. Well, certainly, Eezo, I want to give you a chance now, because I'm sure that I've noticed ever since you started following me on Facebook, I noticed that you were following me there, and I appreciate that. But it also occurred to me over time that you've been an Aaron's Opinion fan for a while, man. So how did you first find out about Aaron's opinion? Was it one of the other South Africans who told you? How did you find out about Aaron's opinion? And please ask all of your
Okay.
questions that you want to know about Aaron Richmond, which is my name, Aaron Richmond, and Aaron's opinion. What do you really want to know about me, man? Ask all your questions. Absolutely.
Okay, I think on my side, I do actually quite read a lot. So, but how I came to know about Aaron's opinion is through Facebook. So, I follow some groups from in America, like Blind and Visually Impaired Network, those type of groups, and that is actually where I found your profile.
Sure.
That's actually how
Absolutely.
I found, yes, through those Facebook groups, because it's in my career a lot of times I was built through posts that come from Facebook groups, if I must say.
Right. I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's basically
that's
how
wonderful. Yeah.
yes, because I always search on content related to blind people, always.
That's really good, man. That's really, really good. Yeah. Yeah. But so what are some specific questions you have about me as a person, my podcast, my journey? What do you really want to know? Please ask all of your questions.
Well, on my side, I think like for now there isn't anything that I maybe would want to know, but what I would appreciate maybe is um if whenever you come across anything related to what I do, maybe you can just like try and let me know. But I will also on my side, I'll also try and share whenever I have time, the podcast around. Because even like now, with what we are basically discussing, as soon as it's posted, I'm also definitely going to make sure it's shared everywhere on my side. That's one thing that's definite, because I want people to hear, and that's the nice thing, if when we're doing something like this, it's like you build me and I build you. That's basically, a thing that's actually quite nice and important.
Well, that's really good, man. And yeah, I absolutely. And that's really the power behind it, because if you share and, as we say, repost or if you accept the collaboration requests that you'll receive on Instagram and on TikTok, and if you simply share that out, the magic behind all this, EEZO, is that like the public kind of gravitates towards content that they want. So you would be surprised to know that people kind of come across this stuff sort of like it sort of finds the right audience because of the way the algorithms and the software work. It kind of directs it. It kind of the posts get kind of pointed in some ways to the right people, provided that we provide them with a good post. Which we're actually going to do that in a couple minutes. We're actually going to make a clip together that will be shared out socially and all of that. Yeah. Well, I do have a couple more questions. So, where have you traveled to outside of South Africa?
I never traveled internationally yet, even though it's still my dream, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's really good. Where do you want to go in the world outside of South Africa?
Well, I wouldn't say specifically, but definitely I would want to go to America, come to America to experience how things are that side.
Hmm.
And definitely, other countries like Germany as well,
Yeah,
because you see, they're also focusing on things that I'm interested in.
absolutely.
Accessibility. Those are because sometimes companies also, when they see people and things, it helps them to understand. It can help them depending on what they create to make it more advanced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, for instance, do you speak the German language though? Because in Germany, you can get by with English, but in Germany, everybody still speaks German. Do you speak German?
Well, not at the moment, but I am planning on learning next year.
Oh, that's really good, man. That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah. I've had, actually, I speak English and French fluently, obviously, but I've never learned German. I've had, EEZO, I've had very few, over the years, we've had very few guests on the podcast from European countries. Actually, countries in the continent of Africa and around the world have really contributed a lot to the podcast, but countries in Europe have participated less in the podcast space. I've always noticed, so that's always interesting. Yeah. Anyway, that is all very, very interesting. Couple more things. So, do you want to speak for just a minute in one of your native languages, just to the listeners? Do you want to say anything to the Afrikaans listener, or maybe do you want to say something in Zulu or Afrikaans to encourage Afrikaans listeners to listen to this episode? Is there anything you want to say to them? You can certainly speak for a minute in those languages if you want. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, ek gaan nou in Afrikaans praat en ek wil maar net sê baie dankie vir almal wat my support, wat daar is vir my en wat my gaan nog help. Ek sal dit ook regtig waardeer op my kante. En ek is baie bly dat ek kan altyd inspiration is vir mense en altyd mense leer, want ek like baie met mense is. As ek opstaan in die oggend elke dag, mense loop verby my, ek kan hoor en voel en verstaan as anders bly is om vir my te sien en hulle vra hulle self, as ek dit kan doen wat ek kan sien, dan kan hulle dit doen. En daai is iets wat vir my baie bly maak. En op die einde van die dag, ons almal is daar om te leer van mekaar. En dat nog goed is wat iemand anders wil ken, wat nie ken, waar kan hulle dit kry of wie kan hulle sê, en dan kry hulle daai iemand wat hulle sê. So ja, die wêreld is 'n klein wêreld en dat is wat ek kan sê. So yeah, I think that's what I could say on my side.
Yeah, I could tell that you were thanking people. You were thanking people for their support and motivating them to tune into this inspirational conversation. That was beautiful. That is so cool. I love hearing that. I love hearing that Afrikaans language. That is so cool. It is so magical sounding, that ancient language. That's so cool. Yeah, that's really, really good, man. Yeah. What other podcasts have you been on, by the way? I'm just purely curious. Yeah.
Actually, I haven't been on a podcast yet, but if you talk about, here in South Africa, I was on Morning Live on SABC2 and on a show on SABC2 as well called Beyond Ability. So Morning Live is the one
really good.
Morning, and Beyond Ability was a show that was also running on SABC2. And in terms of, I've only, since I started DJing, I can say I maybe had around 10 paid gigs only. And out of those 10 paid gigs, only half of them were good pay, not a lot of money, but were good paid gigs, And, but all I can say is that, I won't mind, I don't mind, as a DJ to go DJ at places, even if it's not for money. You get those times where they just invite you to come play, to entertain people. It's natural, but at the end of the day, I think the important thing is that we as artists and DJs, we need to start getting that way. We need to help each other, and share each other's story. If you know a story is inspirational, don't go past the story and knowing that you could do something. There's many ways you can help somebody. If I post for donations and you can't donate to me, but by you pressing the share button, you enable others to listen to my story as well. So exactly. Yes, that's what I can say from my side.
Well, from my side, I agree. So repost this and share it around. All right, everybody. All right. Well, let's start to get to the end of this episode. So by saying that, let's walk towards the end of a beautiful conversation, right? So, okay, from here, if somebody wants to get in touch with Eezo the Blind DJ, how can you be reached? That's a very important thing.
Okay. So the first way, I'm going to put it this way because it's people from different parts of the world listening. So my phone number, which works for calling and WhatsApp, is +27 67 820 8855. My email address is EEZO EEZO The Blind DJ, DJ as in DJ, @gmail.com. And on my Instagram, it's EEZO_the_blind_DJ, and on X as well. And then on TikTok, yes, it's EEZO The Blind DJ. And on Facebook, my page is DJ EEZO The Blind DJ. And what I wanted to say, the last thing is that the reason why I had to say the blind DJ, because there's a lot of DJ EEZOs, year round in South Africa, around. So I had to say the blind DJ so that people can understand when they're searching for me so that they are able to understand and know who they're searching for. So yeah, that's what I can basically say about that on my side.
I agree. All right, everybody, click the link in the description. All right, before we go, it's totally fine if you don't want to. Do you want to sing the national anthem for us before you go today?
Um, I'm not actually now.
That's
I'm
all
not
right.
ready yet.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, man. All right. Anyway, don't hang up though. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to end the episode here, but then we're going to do something else before we go today. Okay. That's super important for promoting the episode. All right. Well, everybody, he's Eezo, the blind DJ. I'm Aaron's Opinion. Thank you so much, whether you're listening to us from Johannesburg or really anywhere in the world. Thank you so much. And until next time, everybody, be well. And of course, help one person today. Help 1 million people tomorrow.